What's up guys, it's me Deshaun, and man do I got a lot to say about this manga right here. Pygmalion. And man is this manga disgusting. It might not be as graphic as other mangas out there, but it is still nasty nonetheless. This manga is about a bunch of mascots coming to life, killing and eating people. As silly as the premise of this manga may sound, it is actually handled really well. So well, in fact, I don't think there'll ever be a manga that could take this premise and go so far with it. From the unique stylistic horror that this mangaka offers to the actual writing that this manga has, it's a shame that it's so short. Because for what it's worth, I'd like to see more of this mangaka's style, especially when you're looking at stomach-turning art like this. It's so disturbing that it intrigues you and makes you want to read it. And in terms of the plot, there's a lot more going on. For example, the name of this manga is Pygmalion, and that is based off of Pygmalion from Greek mythology. In a way, this story is actually loosely based off of it. At the day of Aphrodite's festival, Pygmalion made offerings at the altar of Aphrodite. There, too scared to admit his desire, he quietly wished for a bride who would be the living likeness of my ivory girl. When he returned home, he kissed his ivory statue and found that its lips felt warm. He kissed it again and found that the ivory had lost its hardness. Aphrodite had granted Pygmalion's wish. The statue that he had once sculpted had came to life. This Aphrodite festival is no different than the mascot festival at the beginning of the manga. And all of the mascots that are coming to life are no different than Pygmalion's statue. This same statue that he fell in love with and wanted to bring to life. It's really surprising to me how a manga about mascots has this much amount of detail in it, in terms of not just its writing, but its art as well. When you look at a panel like this, you can't help but acknowledge the amount of energy that's being exerted from the characters on the page. If there's any type of imagery that I find quite disturbing, it's when you take things such as buttons, wool, silk, or any type of synthetic fur, and then you add things such as blood and guts into the mix, it really gives you a very childish and demented form of horror. For example, teddy bears are typically used for comfort, and being that they are made out of these same things that I just described, such as buttons, silk, etc., let's take an idea of a button. Very childish nature to it, right? Buttons can be used for the eyes of a teddy bear. Buttons could be used to put your child in a comforting onesie. Now, when you think of things such as a bloody button, this thing that is typically associated with objects that usually give us comfort and help us feel warm inside, it contradicts that idea and gives you a very stomach-turning feeling. A bloody onesie, a bloody teddy bear. These same objects that are associated with these specific things that form these contradictions that make your stomach turn can be taken to the next mile. Back at the teddy bear again. A teddy bear has guts inside. And then it's crazy because you can also add in the fact that this inanimate object, this thing that shouldn't be moving or alive, could potentially be alive. You throw all of these into a pot and the type of imagery you get is at the bare minimum unsettling. Unzipping your skin, stitches, maybe a teddy bear actually having a human eye, you getting your own eyeballs replaced with buttons. This is exactly what made the movie Coraline so disturbing. This manga does have little bits and pieces of this horror, but I wish he would have fully utilized it, because based off of another manga he made, I know this guy knows what can get under a person's skin. Now, I'm going to cover this manga in another video because unfortunately it's not translated and we definitely need one. But in this panel of this manga, you can see this same type of energy being displayed here. These innocent, jokey looking faces on this machine are now creepy because they have a new, different meaning to them due to the blades that are associated with them. The chef hats that they are wearing and the blades that they are wielding exude a completely different vibe. This is no longer a chef delicately handling your meat for you to enjoy your next meal. It is now a butcher getting ready to cut down a human being. And when you combine these two ideas, it just makes you want to vomit. Moments like these are when this mangaka, in my opinion, is at his best, and that is where I guess you could say my issues with Pygmalion does lie. Because at its worst, it could be downright disgusting and even cringe. Me, I like some shock value, but shock value for the sake of shock value, at least to me, is poor writing. If shock value is not well paced, it can leave you with a straight face and ruin any type of horror that the author was trying to convey. Or it might be so left field you'll just be like, what the fuck am I reading? A lot of you could argue that one chapter can't ruin an entire story, but me personally, I'd say it ultimately depends. How short is that manga? How bad do these chapters or does this chapter throw off the story? And when it comes to a segment or a chapter ruining a manga, I guess you could say that Pygmalion is a perfect example of what it looks like when a chapter can throw off an entire manga, or I guess you could say a segment. Now, for the sake of spoilers, the chapter is chapter 8. You can read up to chapter 8 and come back to this video, or feel free to keep watching to see what I'm talking about. Or hey, if you want to, pause the video, look at chapter 8, consume it and process it for yourself, and then compare your reaction to mine. Now, chapter 8 starts off with one of the mascots being a girl. Then he proceeds to eat her. Now, there is nothing wrong with this shock value here. It is disgusting. It makes you feel uncomfortable. Perfect. Whether or not you think it's silly because it's a mascot doing these things, that's actually on you. As the chapter proceeds, we see this same mascot carry around his victims. It's extremely disturbing because none of these girls are sane anymore. It's almost as if they gave up and let the mascot force his will onto them and completely broke them mentally. One of the girls then asks for a kiss and he begins to eat her face off. The other girl, witnessing this, begins to have a mental breakdown because she then realizes even though she submitted herself into being this thing's girlfriend or toy to play with, she's still going to get eaten. Very disturbing, extremely disturbing, and handled very well. I really like this because it gives me a lot of Dead Rising vibes when you encounter one of these psychopaths. It's kind of ironic considering that one of the psychopaths in Dead Rising is actually a mascot named Slappy. But anyways, most of you are probably questioning why I'm comparing this to Dead Rising. It's because this type of horror has a very juvenile nature to it. It's like some very over-the-top angsty teen juvenile horror that you get some bits and pieces of in horror movies. Sometimes they can be handled very poorly and it'd be very cringe. Other times they can be handled masterfully, like in Dead Rising's case. Now I'm going to play a cutscene from Dead Rising to give you a taste of this juvenile horror, to show you even though it's on the over-the-top side, it could still be done well.
Randall, my son, I think you should reconsider what...
Randy! Father, call me Randy. Get on with it!
Do you... Randy, take this woman, please?
I do, Father. I do. Oh. Don't worry, honey. The other ones didn't mean anything to me. Just remember to say I do. You wanted me to wait until I was married? Well, I'm not waiting anymore. Oh, I knew I wouldn't die virgin. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. I can't wait. Cut to the end, Dad. Cut to the end. Cut to the end.
If anyone knows of any reason why these two should not be joined in union, speak now, or forever hold your... Oh, thank God! Help us! Help us!
You're trying to ruin the happiest day of our lives?
Now, what did you guys think of that? They took the idea of a degenerate and went the extra mile. It's just so unsettling to see how excited this guy is over the thought of losing his virginity. It's juvenile, sleazy, and it makes you uncomfortable. And we get some good visual storytelling because the bride has lipstick smeared all over her face, and Randy also has that same lipstick smeared all over him as if he was forcing her to kiss him. This is definitely a good example of flawless execution. And in Pygmalion, we are getting that at first with some pretty decent build-up. But you want to know what this build-up builds up to? The most cringe, disgusting shit I've seen in a long time. The mascot kills the father of the girl that he was going to with his he killed him with his. If this isn't one of the most foul or out of place things I've ever witnessed in a manga, I don't know what is. It does nothing but add disgusting shock value and ruins any prior sense of dread and fear with this cringe childish. The most juvenile I've ever seen, not in a good way, clearly in a bad. 5th grade energy right here. And I almost dropped this manga on this scene. It takes a lot for me to drop a series, but that right there left a horrible taste in my mouth. And then you're gonna sit here and have some crazy lore dumping in the next chapter like that didn't just happen. It's kind of weird seeing silly mascots people, but you know, if you want to put that in a manga, I guess it's not, you know, I'll try and get with the creative vision, and then you do this. You have a cringe concept, and then you just make it even more like, oh my god, and you just ruin it, bro, even more. Like, it's already questionable as it is for being cringe, and then you just, oh my god, bro. He just really had to double down on it, bro. And then one of the villains actually has this like little mascot partner that he just calls bitch, like constantly. Just because something is edgy, that doesn't make it bad, but this is one of those situations where being edgy is just ruining everything. Like, you could be edgy, right? But being edgy and juvenile and making something cringe and not doing juvenile horror, right? Just no, this is really bad right here. If you want to add some teenage flair to your horror, do not do it like this. At least make it so that the reader could take it seriously. It's bad enough the premise in itself is hard to take seriously. And there are multiple moments like this that actually ruin the story. That is the worst part about this manga. But I will say, this manga does have one of the most satisfying endings. Writing skills that I really want to see more of. At times, even now that I think about it, beautiful might even be an understatement, because it really is touching. The message it says about humanity and the true feelings that we all have deep down inside of us. Even though underneath you have these deep, dark, and disgusting feelings, twisted desires that you might even get lost in, there is always a part of you deep down inside that has feelings that consist of love and forgiveness. Despite all of the horrible things that you witness around you, all the horrible things that humans do, will you ever find that love within yourself to forgive humanity and the ugly truth that lurks inside of all of us? Because with that truth, there is always another truth. The truth to love yourself and those around you. Now, with all that being said, this is my review on Pygmalion. I'll see you guys in the next manga review that I do. Let me know what you guys think of this manga in the comment section below. Is there a manga that you want me to read and review? Let me know as well, and I'll see you guys in the next video.